Hey guys, I'm Angela and welcome back to Hobby Night. Today I wanted to share with you my favorite LEGO set of 2022. "2022 was a big year for LEGO. They came out with a ton of new sets because they have a ton of different themes that they sell to, and I tried a fair number of them, but there was one in particular that absolutely stood out to me, and we're gonna get to that set here in a little bit. But first, I wanted to go ahead and talk about a couple of honorable mentions that really got me excited as I was diving into the LEGO for the first time this year. Like I said, I tried a bunch of different sets between Friends, City, Star Wars, Marvel, Technic, Monkie Kid. There were tons of different things I tried to explore, so let's go ahead and talk about my honorable mentions and then we'll get to my favorite one.
Hobby Night's 2022 LEGO Friends Honorable Mention.
The first set that I want to honorably mention is the LEGO Friends Street Food Market set. This is ID 41701 and it comes at 592 pieces. Now this set was instrumental to me in me wanting to get into building a LEGO city. I was looking at a variety of Friends and City sets on the shelf at my local, I think Target and Walmart. It might have been at a LEGO store, I can't even remember now. But I saw this particular set with its food trucks in it. And where I live, there are a ton of food trucks. And I was like, okay, if I was to do a LEGO city, what would I want to do? And I was like, well, I want to base it off of where I live. So this set is perfect for me. I picked it up, was like, maybe this is something I'll do. I'll at least get this one, try it out. And not only did the colors absolutely delight me in this set, because the Friends sets across the board have some gorgeous colors. They focus on a lot of greens, teals, purples, and pinks. And as you may know, those are all colors that I enjoy a lot. I use them all the time on my miniatures. So seeing them reflected in this other toy that I was really getting into was delightful. Plus, this was my first time building a vehicle, so being able to actually move the food truck, the taco truck in particular, around was just pure delight. Plus, the build element of this was pretty fun. It started to explore some things that I hadn't played with, like hinges and that kind of thing, and it opened my eyes to what LEGO could do, which is why I wanted to mention it here on my first honorable mention.
Hobby Night's 2022 LEGO Star Wars Honorable Mention.
For my next honorable mention, I wanted to pull something from the Star Wars lineup, specifically the Mandalorian Imperial Armored Marauder, ID code 75311, coming in at 478 pieces. Talk about a set that has some insane swishability. I absolutely love this little tank for how I can just swoosh it around. It fits perfectly into my hand. It has a fantastic weight, and this is the model that actually got me into building LEGO in the first place. Prior to this particular set, I had built a couple of other Star Wars sets, predominantly some of the flat scenes where it was just a bunch of terrain pieces, never any of the vehicles, and other than that, it was just one of the big Star Wars art pieces. So experiencing this tank build where I actually got to put together a vehicle and see all the moving latches on all the doors, see how tight and compact this particular build could be, really excited me. I opened my eyes to what LEGO was currently doing with the Star Wars franchise, and I really appreciated the fact that it seemed like they upgraded their greebling on the outsides of these sets. Prior, I had felt like a lot of the vehicles seemed to be a lot of big, flat gray panels, which, I guess makes a certain amount of sense with Star Wars ships, but this one, they put a lot of detail on the outside that just made it look so much cooler, and it really drew me in and made me want to explore, especially more Star Wars sets, but more LEGO sets in general, which is why I had to mention it here.
Hobby Night's 2022 LEGO Monkey Kid Honorable Mention. That should have actually won the overall contest, but hey, it's just my opinion, right? My opinion doesn't matter.
Now, my final honorable mention could have arguably been my number one pick, but there was one element that held it back, but I still really want to talk about it. And that is one from the Monkey Kid lineup, specifically the City of Lanterns with ID code 80036, coming in at 2,187 pieces. I loved this build. It had great storytelling as you were building up all of the pieces. I've actually been watching the Monkey Kid Lego cartoon, which is on Amazon, and loving it. If you've not checked out this cartoon, it has surprisingly beautiful animation for being a show made by the Lego company, and I just cannot recommend it enough. But beyond that, this build was just super, super cool. I am a massive weeb. This had a lot of Asian theming to it, obviously, because it's Monkie Kid and set in China, but the elements in this were just so cool. Not only did it come with a bunch of great minifigs, outside of just the characters from the show, but just also some random NPCs who happen to be in the city. It also had just a lot of really cool elements when you were putting it together. Now, I do know one of the main factors some people dislike sets like this for is because there's a lot of sticker elements. But for me, I actually kind of like the stickers. I know that's probably like totally against what a lot of LEGO fans will tell you, but I thought they were pretty fun. And these ones in particular were pretty cute because they had a lot of the cartoon characters from the actual show represented on the windows and stuff of the signs on the city, and it was just really, really neat to me. Plus, there is a little bit of motion in this particular build with the Pigsy cart, and it's a modular set. One of the first modular sets that I built, and so you can disassemble it from the main city and spread it out and use those pieces elsewhere. Now, the main thing that kept this from being my #1 pick is despite the fact that I do like the moving element of the Mr. Pigsy train on the cart, it does block some of the really cool buildings behind it when you have it fully assembled as the main city piece. And when I'm not playing with it and I just have it on my shelf, that kind of bums me because I really like seeing some of the neat elements that they put into those builds behind it. So that's why it's not my #1 pick. But speaking of my #1 pick, we should talk about that one next.
Hobby Night's favorite LEGO set of 2022.
And that is the Lion Knight's Castle, which is ID code 10305 and comes in at a whopping 4,515 pieces. Now, this set encompasses everything that I liked about all of my honorable mentions and combines it into one nice, tidy little thing. Plus, I really like castle themes. Like overall, I just think castles are really, really cool. I've always thought castles looked really neat in LEGO, and I was very sad to see that they had discontinued the castle line years and years ago, but have slowly started bringing it back, which is why when I had the opportunity to pick up the Lion Knight's Castle, I went ahead and did so because I had to grab it before it went away again. Now, I want to dive a little bit deeper into all of the elements that I loved about this particular set, starting with the build process. Everything about this build was fantastic. This is a huge set, and it took the Chaos Cultist and I about a week off and on putting this one together, but each step of the way, I loved it. I was really worried too because I was concerned that it was going to be just a bunch of gray bricks because it is just a big gray castle, but there were so many lovely colorful elements as you were building the interior rooms or the roofs, and it just kept everything really engaging. Plus, there were tons of little narratives that the designers put into the build process that you got to discover as you're actually putting this castle together, and that was probably one of my favorite elements of this set. Now, one of the other things that I absolutely loved about this set in particular was the sheer volume of minifigs that you got in them and the quality of those minifigs. There are 22 minifigures that come in this particular set, and they range from peasants to nobles to children to knights to horses, sometimes cows, as well as my all-time favorite figure from this set, the Queen. She is delightful. She has a fabric cape, which I think is beautifully printed. She's got some great elements on chest printing. She's got some leg printing as well. I do wish she had a little bit of arm printing. I think that would have been a nice extra touch. However, the helmet that she comes with is really cool, and it's mimicked by one of her knights as well with some slightly different plumage, which I also think is amazing. Now, the minifigs aren't the only thing that I loved from this, but I also really liked how much mobility this castle had for the fact that it's a stationary building. You can raise the portcullis, you can lower the drawbridge, you can turn the water wheel, and there's a number of other elements that move within the castle as well, including a hidden door as you open it up so you can actually play with the interior elements of it, and then it gets hidden again as you close it back down, which I just thought was a really neat element, and I loved seeing that added into the build. Plus, because of that little element, you can actually angle this castle to look a little bit more rounded, which makes it feel like more traditional castles out in real world, which I really like because eventually I want to put this big thing into my LEGO city, probably in the Ren Fair or potentially just doing a medieval city build. I haven't really decided yet, but I eventually want to use it in one of those two ways. Now, the last thing that I want to talk about that I just really loved about this set were two key little elements that I think were just fun little discoveries that I found as I was building it. One is a brown frog that is outside of a window. Now, the narrative that you got when you were building this particular piece is the designer's asking you if you thought the frog was always brown, because the section that you're building of the castle, when it asks you this, you're actually building the toilet. And so they're implying a nice little turd has fallen onto this frog, and I just think that is hilarious. Like, I wasn't expecting that as I was building this thing. So to find that and go, wait, they're making like a toilet joke? That is so funny to me. I don't know what about it made me laugh so much, but it did, and I really, really liked it. The other thing that I really liked about this particular set is the fact that inside the kids' room, you actually get to build a micro version of the original yellow Lego castle. Now, I never have actually built this castle in its full-scale form before because I just wasn't into Lego at the time when it existed, and I know that set is quite expensive to get your hands on. However, I find it really funny that I've now built two of the micro versions of this set, one in this big castle build and one in a Lego store build, which I picked up at my local Lego store because that's the only place you can get that one. So I just find it really funny that in 2022, I built two of the micro castles, inside one of which was my big castle. And I just thought that was amazing. And that is my favorite set of 2022. I'd love to know what your favorite set might have been from last year, especially if you're a big Lego fanatic. And I hope to continue to share my Lego adventure with you as the 2023 goes on. Before I head out, I do want to give a huge thank you to my patrons for making it so content like this can continue to happen. Without your guys' support, we wouldn't be doing this, so thank you very, very much. I have been Angela, and hope you have a wonderful hobby night.